Hello, I'm Sue Rosin, and I'm in Arizona right now at the 20th anniversary of the Disclosure Project, where I was a witness in Washington, D.C. in May 2001. At that event, I spoke for Werner Von Braun. I gave his warning to the world that there was going to be a faked alien invasion. He called it the last card that would be played in the entire war game, which has scenarios of formulas for wars, enemies, sanctions, fighting, killing, leapfrogging the technology. Von Braun, the father of rocketry, when I became the first woman executive in that aerospace industry, Von Braun taught me and gave me his deathbed assignment to prevent the placement of weapons in outer space. So I came here to give a reminder about that warning of Werner Von Braun, that the last card is being played right now. You're seeing it in the media. You're seeing faked pictures. You can't tell whether a UFO is a real one or not. They're not even UFOs. They're identified. Dr. Greer is explaining at this event that there are so many that are man-made. It's the old game of having to have the next enemy, so that you have an enemy that you can keep building the war game against, keep that economy going, and dominate and control the entire space around all of us. And I know some of you, if you're aware of it, are noticing that we're being controlled right on this planet in so many different ways. Werner von Braun wanted to open that up. He worked under Hitler. He actually learned that from experience we can use the technology for the good or for war. And we will never, ever be safe if we escalate the arms race into that place above all of our heads. In the United States where I live, there's a huge momentum to close off even access to space without permission, without the United States and allies dominating and controlling space. So there's an enemy mentality. Well, I could go on with that scenario for a long time and explain it further, but I think most of you listening to this know what I'm talking about. The problem is, we don't see a way out of it if we're looking for earthbound solutions, which leads me to then talking about the treaty that was introduced by Russia and China decades ago. It's been called for over and over again. It's been updated in 2008, 2014. It's now ready to be signed into a binding world law, and that's all we need to get done. But how do we get that done? Do we have a peace president? Since we have in the United States been at war for 93% of our time since 1776, when this country was formed. We don't have a peace president. And I'm calling on the leaders of the world right now, as are some of the people who put together over 100 of them who are now committed to not be the first to place weapons in outer space, on now finding a leader who will put them together to sign this treaty, send it to the United Nations Secretary General, who will then announce that we have a binding world law to prevent the placement of weapons in outer space. This treaty exists. It's on my website, peaceinspace.com, that's been put together by experts all over the world. If you look down the news section, you'll see some of these experts, many from Russia and China. And I also have that same information multiplied over with including 700 plus videos of speeches from the Ziegel's readings that have been put together by Professor Alexander Semenov in Russia. Hundreds of people coming twice a year to Russia to give their talks about different issue areas that have solutions, but that now are suffering with extreme problems. And I've met so many people in Russia, in the office of the president. Vladimir Ermakov, who speaks English, came to me last time in December 2019 when I was there and whispered in my ear, you know, Carol, we had the same conversation 35 years ago. The only difference is that now I have grandchildren. Well, I haven't had children. I have 400 million orphans, however. I see hundreds of species disappearing every week. I see earth changes that are so dangerous and people are suffering all over the world. And are we prepared? Well, the theme of the war game is prepare for war, prepare to win. I say that the Space Forces have a new role to play. They need to be a force, but a force now to solve these urgent problems. They have the technology in the military, industrial, lab, university, intelligence community, NASA, and other international space and defense agencies and intelligence community to use the technologies and our highest consciousness to solve these problems. But we need to do it fast because the extinction process is well underway and it's in an accelerated motion. So I'm leaving you with the thought that we can have peace on Earth if we can maintain it in outer space, invite our neighbors in, get to know that that is a reality. We are not alone and there is no hostility. There are no neighbors that are hostile or threats from space. We're all together as one family. That's not rhetoric, it's the truth, but it extends into outer space. And now we have a tool, this treaty, that you'll read on peaceandspace.com and support. Call on the leaders. I'm calling on President Putin right now to lead the way and become our first planetary peace president. And may peace prevail in space so that we can have peace on Earth. Thank you.